before we get into, cards and gambling and
Yes.
all that jazz, we have some bullshit to get through.
Naturally. I've bought a trowel and some of those big gloves that Laura Dern wears in Jurassic Park. I've got some of them. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get through the bullshit.
Yeah, but no nose plugs because, we're hardcore like that.
The smell will do you some good.
Aye.
That's what people always say, isn't it? When farmers are spraying muck on the fields. So, it'll do you good, that smell, but it does smell like literal shit, though. So,
yeah.
Will it do me that much good?
I mean, it's like those people that when it's been really sunny for 2 weeks and it starts getting cloudy and you get these fucking nutballs that are like, oh, we need this. We need a good washout. And you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? We don't need it. What you say?
No, I know what you mean. It's
if you don't get water, if you don't got a watering can. Like,
here's a weird tidbit about Lewis Brindley. When I was a kid, I fell down some steps and I broke my foot, like a little tiny toe bone on my foot. And now, whenever it's about to thunderstorm, that leg aches. Sorry, you just reminded me by mentioning thunderstorms. So I have the ability to predict the weather in about 10 minutes if it's thunder.
Well,
it's a tiny superpower I have.
Well, I mean, I think everyone has the ability to do that by killing a blue beetle. So,
I'm sorry, what? Killing a blue beetle?
Did you not get that when you were younger?
No.
Like if you killed
Quite
a
frankly,
beetle?
Daddy, this sounds like the ravings of a madman. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, see, like,
you kill the beetle and then you smear its innards over a piece of paper and hold it up to the sky. And then if they turn purple...
No, I was told, I tried to step on a beetle when I was really young, and my mum stopped me, and she was like, "What are you doing? It'll rain." I'm like, "What?"
Oh, okay.
She's like, "It'll start raining if you do that. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And now, just to ruin her day, I step on as many beetles.
You're never allowed in the bug house at the zoo again.
Yeah.
You just went in and leapt into a tank and started stomping.
I should do a bullshit segment on just the little aphorisms that my mum has. Like, there are so many that would just... Like, I'll tell you one, and I will not explain it, and we'll move on, right? Oh, it's like putting knickers in a late train.
Putting knickers on a late train, as in a train that hasn't arrived at the station on time.
Oh, well, that'll put knickers on a late train. That's a sentence that my mum would say, and everyone looks at her as if she's speaking like gibberish. It's like it makes no sense. So one day I will do a bullshit segment on all these little aphorisms, and you can try and guess
good stuff.
what they mean, because I don't know what they mean. So.
That sort of reminds me of something I was thinking about earlier about all those things that your parents and your grandparents told you, oh no, you can't do such and such because it's rude. But then looking back, it doesn't make any sense at all. There are two that stuck out in my mind. When I was a kid, I used to, this used to be a big problem. I used to eat with my elbows raised, which is apparently a problem. They weren't like up around my ears. I think I was just had my arms up so I could reach the plate better. And every time it happened, they'd be like, "Oh, don't eat like that. Don't eat with your elbows up. That's so rude." And I was like, is that a manner? Is that an etiquette thing? You have to have your elbows down by your side. The other one that got me was you did you ever do drama festivals when you were a kid, Dan?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I did a fair share of a few of them, and there was this one piece that I did, and my mum told me, "Oh, type it up, put some little pictures on it, and then print it out." Because I remember you had to take one to give to the person that was judging you, so that they know you hadn't forgotten your words or whatever, because they would have it in front of them. Yeah. And I remember I'd done this, and I'd typed it up in red, because I forget what the poem was about, but I decided that red was a good colour for the text to be. And I remember my mum said to me, "Oh no, yeah, it's very rude to write someone a letter in red ink." And I remember looking at her and saying, "Why?" She went, "It just is. It's just rude to write someone a letter in red ink." What? I remember thinking it was weird at the time, and thinking maybe it was just something she'd made up in the moment. And then a couple of weeks later, the head teacher at my primary school mentioned it in an assembly, that it was rude to write someone a letter in red ink.
Oh my God.
And I remember thinking, what? the fuck is going on with my life?
Listen,
it's just such a random thing. Have you ever heard this?
No, but before we even continue, I've got to say, I'm binning what I had for the bullshit, and we can just do this. Look, I'm spinning the wheel, right? We can just talk about weird fucking rude things that parents would say. Red ink? Why is that rude? Is that because the teachers mark in red ink, maybe?
I don't know. I always presumed it was because red is the colour of blood, but I never got any further than that in my presumption. Because if you wrote someone a letter with blood, the blood would oxidise and turn brown. So you wouldn't actually... the letter would be brown by the time it got to the recipient, unless you just used your blood and then immediately handed it to the person. Do you know what? Even then, the first few words would surely be brown.
Wow.
I don't know. It's such a bizarre thing.
That is really weird.
Yeah, I can't think of any other bits and bobs. There's the only other one that springs to mind is putting new shoes on a table. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Yeah, new shoes. After you take them out of the box, you can't put them on the table. I think that was a rudeness thing, but it might have also been a bad luck thing. That you can't put them on a table because it'll cause bad luck.
Yeah, like an umbrella being opened inside.
Yes, but of course, the thing about opening an umbrella outside is where you need an umbrella for.
Yeah.
So you're going out into the rain and getting rained on in order to avoid bad luck, such as being rained on your way to an important meeting or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider myself like a sort of teacher about life or anything like that, but I'll do it this once, okay? See if someone tells you something, kids, and you ask why, and their answer is, it just is. You can safely assume that they're talking out their fucking arse, okay?
Yeah. If someone says it just is, they might have just made it up then.
Yeah. So maybe do a little bit more research before you take that as God. Why are you kicking that giraffe to death? Because you
just have to. Whenever you see a giraffe, you just have to.
It's good to. It's bad luck not to. Why? It just is. It just is. Fuck. I used to let's see if you were ever just little things like if you were speaking to if I was speaking to my dad and I said she said she wants you to sit at the table, my mum would then shout, "Who's she? The cat's mother?"
Yes,
like
that was another one.
Yeah, or like if I was fighting with my brother, she would say, "Oh, it'll all end in tears. It'll all end in tears," like that. Or
as if you don't know, because that's the entire point of fighting with your brother is that you know it will end in tears, but you're betting on the fact that it'll be the other one's tears.
Yeah, or if there was someone in my school that she didn't like, she would say, "Oh, I bought apples off your cart before," like that, as if, and I'm like, "What? Why are you bringing up apples? What?" She's like, "Oh, he's a bad apple salesman." Like, just weird little, just weird things like that. Just like are passed on. It's weird.
Did your parents get very big on saying twice instead of 2 times?
No.
It was like a military campaign in my house of if in your life you ever said, "Oh, such and such did something 2 times," or "This happened 2 times." It'd be no, twice. It happened twice.
Oh.
The same happened for left and right. Even to this day, I have trouble telling which way is left and right. I have to think about it for a moment before I figure out which way is left and which way is right.
Yeah.
So I'd say, "Yeah, it was on that side," and I'd gesture. And they say, "So it was on the left?" And I go, "Yes." That's the way I pointed. But
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get that. I used to get it's "and I" rather than "and me," if you know what I mean.
That annoys me, because sometimes it is "and me."
Yeah.
But people don't ever believe you.
Yeah, but I've internalised it. I've internalised it so much that now I correct them, even though I don't even know when I should be correcting them, and I'm sure I've corrected you on a number of occasions, and you're just probably like, "No, you could use "and me," and I'm like, "No, you can't." You can't.
The best thing to do is to always correct somebody to whom when they say who, because nobody really knows how that works. Or to put a semicolon on something. If somebody hands you something that they say, can you just read through this, make sure it's all right? Just say, yeah, you could put a semicolon here, and they will, because nobody knows how semicolons work. It's all just some big scheme by Big Ink to get you to write a little bit more.
Oh, fucking bastards. It reminds me of that episode of Would I Lie to You, where Lee's talking about some guy, and it's like, David's like, whom did you give it to? Whom? And he's like, I'm not saying that if you say whom. And it's like, who did you say? David Tennant. What? You asked David Tennant, or my friend, as I know him, Dr. Whom.
Yeah.
Tom Baker.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I've got one more absurdly militaristic thing from my childhood that I will briefly bring up because I want to hear whatever we've got for the bullshit this week. I'm enjoying it.
Go on then.
Were your parents very intense about times tables?
No.
It was very intense in my house.
Oh God.
It was bizarre. I had like a printed off list of all of the times tables to 12 times 12 that I kept in my bedroom. I think school had given it to me, or perhaps one of my parents had printed it off. I can't remember. But yeah, it was like printed off in my bedroom. And the idea was that I would sit at my desk and it would help me while I was doing homework. And it did help, which was quite nice. But they were very intense over the fact that I should memorize them. So my mother especially, so I'd be like at my most relaxed in the evening. I'd be like, this was when I was like at primary school or something. So I'd be like playing with Lego, or I'd be I don't know, doing some colouring in or something. And then completely out of nowhere, she'd be like, what's 7 times 6? And I'd be like, oh my God! And I would have no idea what 7 times 6 is. Even now, I have no idea what 7 times 6 is without actually counting. So I would be like, just like suddenly leap out of my skin and just be like, it's 38! And she'd go, no, it's not 38! It's like it was very intense.
It's 42, isn't it?
I don't fucking know.
I think it is.
What did I say? 6 times 7?
Yeah. 42?
Yes, 42, according to the calculator on my computer. See, that's the handy thing. Everywhere I go, I have a calculator. So, who gives a fuck?
I never had anything like that. I mean, I did have... it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I once got 5 demerits in school, and my parents were very upset with me, but not really, because it's fuck all. It's like just getting told off 5 times over the course of 8 months. And they were like, oh, Daniel, oh dear. And we were out one day, and my parents saw this homeless man. Right. And then they said, bet you get 5 demerits in school. And I was like, God. Oh my God! And I was like, you can't say that! That's horrible! So, they sort of tried to, that show Scared Straight?
They tried to scare you straight, yeah.
They tried to scare me straight, and it didn't work, because I was like, there is no way that is the reason that this poor man is suffering like this.
Oh, Christ.
Should make a film about that with 5 demerits. Or demerit, just call it demerit, and 5 demerits ruined this guy's life. That's dreadful.
What's that thing? In the US, they apparently, like in schools, they have this thing called a permanent record. The idea is that, like, in the schools, it's like an open secret, really, that your permanent record, it sort of stops when you leave high school. So the idea is that they tell young students, oh, such and such bad comment will be going on your permanent record. And the kid goes, oh my God, this will be permanent forever until the day I die. People will be denying me things because I chewed gum in the back of my geography class. Of course, this is not the case.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it's just like a lie they tell the students to keep them in line. It's very weird.
Yeah, I don't know what system you had, but we had the merit and demerit system.
We had... Oh, sorry, go on.
It was utter bullshit. It was like, you rack up enough merits at the end of the year and you get to go to Alton Towers, right? But none of the...
Alton Towers is quite close to me. Yeah, but sorry, go on.
Yeah, but none of the teachers would give out merits. You would only be given demerits because they were all fucking nutcases that hated kid. It was so strange. I don't think I ever got a merit when I was at school. I really ever did. It must have been like, oh, you turned up today without stabbing someone. Well done. Here's a merit.
Our system was not very reward focused, which was its failing. It did change just as I was leaving, which sort of immediately there was like massive improvements in the school. So it's like, well, maybe you should have done this all along, but no. But yeah, as I was in school, there was like house points and bad comments, basically. So you got I don't know, I think it was increments of 5 house points for, I don't know, doing a certain piece of work exceptionally well or whatever it was. And, you know, sometimes you'd get them, sometimes you wouldn't. Teachers would try to use them as an incentive, but because we knew that, like, oh yeah, I've got 1 million house points and it doesn't mean anything. So it never really worked as an incentive. You never really got anything. So it sort of was there. The bad comments, I got 1 bad comment in my school life. 1. I was in a citizenship class. That's a citizenship class, which taught me to be a good citizen.
Wow, that sounds really dystopic.
It was the worst class. My first, because I had 3 years of it. My first year was taught by a design technology teacher. My second year a maths teacher, and my third year a PE teacher. Yeah. And then I sat a GCSE in it and got a B. It was a pointless subject. It's like it's supposed to teach you things about how society works, like how a motion in the House of Commons becomes a law and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, I
it
see.
didn't. It was just kind of useless. Yeah. But yeah, I was it was my first year. It was year 9, so I would have been 13. I want to say 13 or 14, and somebody threw scissors at me, and I caught them, and the teacher caught it at the wrong moment and was like, "Are you throwing scissors around?" I was like, "No, I just caught them. Give me your planner. Give me your planner." And so I had a bad comment for scissors catching.
Wow.
Yeah. The punishment system was weirdly intense. Because they figured out that kids, what kids want is to not be at school. So they figured out that giving kids like exclusions or days off or whatever, that's not a punishment. That's a reward, if anything.
Yeah.
So what they did was, I think what it was if you got a certain number of bad comments or behaviour points. That was it. You had house points and behaviour points. So if you did something bad, you would get a behaviour point. And if you got a certain number of behaviour points, you would have a lunchtime detention. So you would go and sit in the classroom of the teacher that awarded the points to you that one particular lunchtime, and they would watch over you and make you do maths or whatever. And then if you got yet more behaviour points, you would do a house detention, which was Friday night for an hour. You had to sit in the school hall. And I think they were called house detentions because it was, I think, of the 5 days of the week, we had 4 school houses in our school. So I think Monday night would have been Manifold House, Tuesday night would have been whatever house, and that would have been how it went on. So you had to go to your house detention and sit there in the hall for an hour and do homework or whatever. And then if you didn't turn up to that, you got exclusions and all the rest of it. But the really bizarre one was that if you kept being a disturbing and violent person in class, you would get isolated. And this was like the very intense version where they had this little building on site that we all referred to as the bungalow because that was precisely what it was. And it was equally a first aid station and a behaviour centre, essentially.
Right.
So I used to go there and like take my medicine and then go and have lunch and all that rest of it. But in the sort of back rooms of this building, kids would be sort of sat at computers or sat at desks just working in complete silence. And there'd be like a member of staff supervising them, and if they said anything, be like, such as, shut up, be quiet, silence in this room. And you'd have to do however much isolation as was deemed necessary by administrative staff.
Wow.
So it was very intense, and then then beyond that, it was exclusions and being kicked out of the school and all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah, is there a difference between exclusion and expulsion?
Probably not.
Because I
think they're both just incremental differences on the way to being expelled. I don't really know if there's much of a difference. Actually, looking at the words, expel and expulsion, they could be the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, like exclusion and expulsion, like to be excluded and to be expelled. Like, are there really any? Because I used to think that exclusion was like not as bad as Expelled, and Expelled was like, wow, the final straw.
Yeah, I think Expelled is just leave this school and never come back, and Expulsion is leave this school but come back in 3 days.
I thought that was suspension.
It might well be suspension. I was always fairly well behaved, so I'm afraid I'm not. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, fair enough. I was never suspended either.
Go on. Have we got some time for some bullshit?
Well, we could leave it to the end. You know.
Go on then. Let's do a double bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, let's leave that one to the end. But yeah, let us know your childhood quirks and your quirky times.
Yes.
And,
were you ever told this thing about red ink? Or was this something that was localised entirely to my town?
Yeah.
Because I've literally never heard it anywhere that isn't Stoke. So I will genuinely be curious.
Could be one out there, Lewis. You never know.
Could be.
But yeah, we will speak to you next time.